What's good, everybody? This is your guy, former Pennsylvania State Constable Stephen Wiggs, and I am giving you guys a minor update on some things to come. So, we are on our way back to court in Pennsylvania following our appeal to the state Superior Court with regards to the red or blue lights case in Pennsylvania. I spoke about this once before, and I alluded to the idea that in the original appeal, there were 3 judges, 2 females, and 1 male. And it turned out that, as I'm going to reiterate, allegedly, these 2 females that ruled against us, one apparently or allegedly is either dating or married to a trooper from Pennsylvania, and one formerly sat on the board of our state training center, which is the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency. Now, why is those 2 elements relevant to the case that I would say warrants them both to be removed from this case? Well, the Pennsylvania State Police has a long-standing issue to our agency, and they've proven time and time again that we couldn't work with them in uniformity because apparently they were afraid of, losing some type of jurisdiction to us. I mean, regardless of what, we are both state agencies. The constable is elected at the local level, but have statewide jurisdiction, unlike the sheriff and local police departments. The constable in Pennsylvania is a state system, just the same as the Pennsylvania State Troopers. So, because we have a long-standing feud with these guys, because they try continuously to get in the way of us conducting our business officially, these troopers being in bed with the people that is supposed to be ruling on the right side of the law rather than their feelings, it seems to have some type of bearing on these judges' decisions to not make rulings based on feelings and fact, but they're making these decisions based upon their relationships with certain people. The other thing is PCCD. The troopers sitting on our board, an agency that does not wish us well in our ventures as we conduct ourselves along our trail through our electoral grounds standing within the 6-year terms. They shouldn't be training us. They should not have any word in our training. But these guys get special privileges to train everybody, apparently. Okay? And they get this big brother, for the lack of a better term, say in every other law enforcement agency's training system. Now, if they were fully transparent and they honored the law as it is written, rather than, giving their opinions on the side and trying to enforce lawless information within our academic training, working to derail the constable from performing the services that the citizens actually elect us to perform, then, I really wouldn't personally have an issue with troopers training us. But that's not the case. See, I'm one that served 7 years. And every time in my updates, yearly updates, there will always be some side comments made to constables to not do the things that is warranted by the agency and upon the citizens that elect us, to simply have us go missing. Like, we're encouraged to go missing from our citizens and disappear into the court system. And so the citizens don't get to see us unless we're serving warrants or enforcing an eviction or doing a property retrieval, something to the effect of the judicial system. But what they actually elect us for, which is to be the peace officer, we're encouraged not to do that by the state training system. And we're also basically threatened to not do it, because they'll mention things like, you'll run into all kinds of backlash and have to basically spend your own money to defend yourself against these machines that's been created. These other systems, which is the DA's office, the judges, and these other agencies that utilize our taxpayers' dollars to fight us elected officials from doing our damn jobs. Okay? So right now we're on our way back to court. December 4th is the date that we are heading to the Capitol and up in Harrisburg. And this is an appeal that really doesn't happen too often. It's called an en banc, and apparently my case is one of two this year. So, right now the guys are, for the most part, cheering us on, within the agency, because this affects every one of the guys, this affects the whole agency. Okay. And, the guys shouldn't be tied down from effectively serving the community that elected them as the peace officers that they are. Okay. I'm not going to utilize the terminology police because the term peace officer actually is the proper term for every law enforcement official that has the authority of arrest, whether by breach of the peace, investigations, the warrant service, things of that nature. These are the peace officers, and the constables are the originals, along with the sheriffs that come through the constitutional power. Okay? Not, I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. But, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for subscribing to the channel and sticking with us. This is a long road. Anybody that actually stands 10 toes down and speaking truth to power within the judicial system, it's always a long road. Okay. Also, the updates on the New Jersey fight, we're still waiting for a court date. The appeal is put in. The brief is sound. It is strong. It is solid. And everybody that has a role in what happened to me and the agency in New Jersey, when we shake that tree, they'll come falling out, and we'll work to make sure that they get their just due. Okay? So, as I stated before in previous posts, an impersonator, a police impersonator, don't fight. They just take their licking on the wounds, that they bestowed upon themselves by actually impersonating, and either learn from it or they don't, and they do something else stupid. But to charge a peace officer with impersonating a police officer, out of control. I've been through it with the troopers maliciously in Pennsylvania. And, we won victoriously because it's simple. You either are the cop or you're not. It's that simple. It should be that simple for any job. If somebody works at McDonald's and somebody says they work at McDonald's, okay, you go to McDonald's and ask McDonald's, if they're able to give that information, hey, did this person work here? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Cool. No. Well, why? It should be that simple to say no and prove that they don't work there. It's either yes or no. So I kicked out a lot of money to fight New Jersey on these charges in New Jersey, impersonating and a gun charge. What I'm saying? My family kicked out a lot of money. Myself and my family kicked out a lot of money, along with some help from the citizens that seen the undeniable truth and proof that New Jersey simply got it wrong. They pitched in as well, and I greatly appreciate them for that, for assisting us in the fight to rectify these wrongs in New Jersey. But as far as Pennsylvania goes, we're on our way back to court. And here's the reality. New Jersey still affects the guys in Pennsylvania. Because, the way the ruling is set, these guys can't come into New Jersey carrying under the federal law while they're off duty. They have to be on duty working for the judicial system, you know, on official Pennsylvania business in order to carry their firearms into New Jersey. You know, that's not the way the federal law is set up. The federal law is set up for officers under HR 218, of whom are trained and certified by the state upon their agency to carry their firearms in all 50 states and any U.S. territory. You know, New Jersey should not be any different. But New Jersey decided, once again, I'm going to say this, New Jersey decided to misuse Pennsylvania law, case law, misuse to find me guilty and convict me. You know, convicting me was to convict the other constables as well in the Commonwealth. So they didn't just convict me, they convicted the whole agency. Okay? They ignored the facts, and I had a wrongful lawyer, you know, but we're gonna bring them to justice, you know. So look for an update in regards to the Pennsylvania situation with regards to the red and blue lights case. I want to drop a little quick note when it comes down to my my case out of Lehigh County with regards to the residency thing, because people have thrown shots, and I want to mention this because I might have mentioned it in any other video. I was fighting 3 cases at the time of that case playing out. And I had to make a decision to drop something because it was a financial strain to fight 3 cases. And so the residency case did not hinder me to come back to the agency if I dropped it. Okay. But the red and blue lights case just doesn't talk to the idea of utilizing red and blue lights for our agency. It also talks to the idea of us in our law enforcement status, our peace officer status, you know, to properly protect ourselves and be vested with the classifications that this agency has always had. So we're not going to discard us on my account. You know, that's not going to happen. Not on my watch. Not coming from me. So in order for me to make sure that that doesn't happen coming from me, you know, we're fighting because I have a name to represent. I have a name to maintain. And I'm going to fight for my name. And everybody should fight for their name when somebody is maliciously trying to take it away from them. So, and then the New Jersey case is the strongest, one of the strongest. So the residency case was the last on a list to be important. You know, like at the very most, they removed me from the agency. But see, here's the reality: if I would have appealed it, we would have won on appeal. We would have won that case on appeal. We gave more than enough evidence that I lived in Allentown. And then there's law directly that says you don't, you could leave your electoral jurisdiction with the ambition to return living wise. So I never left with regards to residency. But even if I wanted to, I had the ability to do so while maintaining my seat. Okay? This is an actual law in Pennsylvania that supports elected officials to move if they desire to, but you have to have the drive and ability to return. You only have to physically live in your electoral jurisdiction when you are running for the position. But during your term, you don't have to stay there. There's a law that supports that in Pennsylvania. And that wasn't the case in my trial, that I did not live there. The owner of the house came, and I have more than enough evidence that I lived at that residence. So that case was not as important as the Lights case and as the Jersey case, impersonating and the gun charge. That wasn't as important. So I let that go, okay, and stuck to the other two. So I'm going to let you guys go from here, and we'll talk soon. Stay blessed, and I'll see you later. Peace.